You're tuned in to the Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This podcast is being brought to you by my inspiring new book titled Courage is a Muscle, Using Heart to Power Your Entrepreneurial Dreams. You can grab your copy today on Amazon. Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for checking out another hot episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria. And in this episode, I'm speaking with Derrell Noris, who is the CEO of Tech Solutionz, a great software company and also mobile app developer based here in the Houston area. So we are going to allow Mr. Derrell Noris to drop that introduction for us. He's going to be sharing some of his, hopefully we'll be able to pull some information to get us along our app development journeys for those who are interested in creating apps for our small business, and also just some tidbits on how we can, I guess, be more tech savvy, because it sounds like he's a good tech person, good tech person to have in your Rolodex or in your phone contact list. So I'm definitely excited about having him on the show. Appreciate his time.
Glad to be here. Like you said, my name is Derrell Noris. I am the CEO of Tech Solutionz. We are a tech firm specializing in mobile app development with the goal of helping businesses increase revenue and customer engagement.
And we love that. We love the revenue, and we absolutely love the customer engagement, which is definitely important. So that's another reason why I know that this is going to be a great conversation, because with everything that has changed within the last 6, 7, 8 months or whatever, a lot of of us, especially small business owners and entrepreneurs, we need to be able to switch over to mobile. So we're hoping that you'll be the guiding light, Derrell. So give us a little introduction on your background, basically how you got interested. Do you have like a technology background? Or tell us how you got interested in this industry.
No, definitely. And I always say I was pretty much born into this life.
Oh, wow.
Both of my parents used to work for IBM. So I grew up around computers my entire life. So I actually went to the great Prairie View A&M University and studied computer engineering.
There we go.
I got my engineering degree from Prairie, and I went to work for a large global company as a software engineer. And I did that for about 5 years, realized that I'm making mobile apps for other people and I can pretty much do it for myself.
Yeah.
So that's when Tech Solutionz was born.
Wow.
So yes, I definitely have a tech background. So it's just not like I'm just randomly hopping in a mobile app business. I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I definitely hear you on that, because sometimes we're either interested in something or we're kind of herded into it, and then we, force ourselves to be interested in it a little bit later. So that's great. Glad It's something that you're interested in. So when you first got started, were you interested in a specific part of, because when you say, tech develop, it's there's so many different angles, so many aspects of it that you handle, but kind of explain that to us a little bit of, I guess, give us a little bit more detail of what your specialization is, because, I always hear stuff like, I front end, back end, give us the specifics of Derrell Noris of Tech. What do you specialize in?
So I guess I'll start with how Tech Solutionz got started.
Okay.
If you Google how much a mobile app costs to develop, it's probably going to tell you something between $50,000 and $200,000. And a lot of small business owners, especially small business owners that look like me, don't have that in the budget for a mobile app. So we created a system that we can create mobile apps for under $10,000 to develop. So that's kind of how it got started. But the whole company shifted when we started getting these great ideas from people they want to make the next Uber or the next social media app. Oh, wow. And we can't do that kind of thing with $10,000.
Yeah.
So what we did was we actually created another company called DeckLaunch LLC. And DeckLaunch, the main purpose of DeckLaunch is for idea validation. Yeah. And so our main product is called a pitch deck. And with the pitch deck, we gather all the information about your idea or your business, and we research the financial projections, the go-to-market strategy, the competition analysis, pretty much everything that investors want to see. And we put it in this document called the pitch deck. And once that document is created, we try to pass these around to investors that are in our circle and see if they can get that funded so we can get the big app. So back to the original question, what is our main target? We literally can handle anything tech related. If you have the budget, we have the skills for it. We just try to put people in the right bucket that they need to be in according to their budget.
Yeah, and that's perfectly explained too, because I didn't realize, like, I know that it's not, I don't want to say cheap, because even, $10,000, that's money. But, a lot of times when you think about, okay, to develop anything that has to do with some sort of online store, just web development, period, your budget is going to be kicked in. Your budget is going to take a deep dive. And so I think it's great that you guys are actually offering something that's a bit more efficient, especially for small businesses. And now that we have, COVID and, we never know, we may be forced to shelter again, or, have to stay at home order and things like that. So I know that being mobile is important. So let's get into this, because I definitely want to talk about this. And then I also want to get into a little bit more of I think you guys referred to it as ed tech, education technology. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that as well and talk about pitch deck and all that. But let's get into the actual part of the things that are affecting us right now. So right now, you have a lot of people, when everything happened in March with the pandemic, a lot of business were scaling. They were scaling, they were pivoting. They had to, figure out, hey, how do we go from operating a physical space to being online? And you've seen a lot of people launch, I know within the fitness industry, you've seen a lot of trainers had to go online, even some of the grocery stores that were not already doing the pickup delivery, or, they started partnering with the different, Ubers or whatever to deliver stuff like that. But tell us a little bit about why that's important, because I think a lot of people will understand, even if you don't think you need it now, you never know what's going to happen, right? So
no, exactly.
Give us a little.
Exactly. And that's a great point. And the industry you hit was actually one of the ones that we've been seeing a lot. Fitness and mm-hmm. churches is people who've been really blowing our phones up. For the fitness thing, obviously, people aren't going to the gym. People want to do online workouts, live videos, and it's just an easier way to pivot if you have a mobile app. So we have a lot of clients that are in the fitness industry who are trying to get that app developed so they can give that access and that engagement capabilities to their clients. And on the church side, it's pretty much the same thing. Everybody knows when it shut down, in-person services wasn't a thing. Right. And a lot of people, and before COVID, we had about 20 or 30 church clients with apps. But we've been pitching, we probably pitched 100 before COVID happened in 2020. Yeah, and right. We didn't get any bites. But as soon as it happened, that's when we started getting the calls. Okay, hey, we can't do in-person services anymore. We need to go live. We need to collect tithes and offerings from the app. Yeah. So yeah, it's those two industries have been two that we've seen a lot trying to go mobile really quickly. And the good thing about our services is we can actually implement these apps pretty quickly as well.
Really? And when you say quickly, what, from a development standpoint, what would be a reasonable time for turnaround?
And that's a great question. It's hard to answer, but I will answer it.
Okay. I didn't mean, we're trying to put you on the spot. My bad.
No, you're good. It depends on functionality. So every app is different. We don't have two apps that cost the same price or take the same amount of time. But as an example, a full custom app development, we just worked on a project, a 6-figure project that has a year timeline. I've also done a church app in 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So the range is really hard to pinpoint because every app is so different and so custom.
Got it. Yeah, no, that answers my question. And one of the reasons why I asked that, because I saw that there's a couple of companies that are just kind of launching, and they have kind of the plug and play app development to where you just kind of, right. Are you familiar with that? I'm not even sure what the term is.
Yeah, that's probably the best term for it right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, all right. Enough said there. All right. That's perfect. So now now everybody is really considering mobile, because even if like right now everything seems to be, kind of getting back to a little bit of a normalcy, what do you think are some of the biggest advantages? Because, a lot of people will see stuff kind of tapering off, or they feel like it's tapering off. Like, oh, okay, I'm good. I really don't. I thought I needed it because of, COVID, but I think we're going to be good, so I don't need it. But what would you say would be like the biggest or the top 2 to 3 advantages of having a mobile app, just to make sure that you have something solid?
No, definitely, and I know a lot of people are thinking that we're going to go back to our regular normal, but exactly. I just don't see that happening. Yeah. So, for instance, for the church apps, I honestly see a lot of people staying online. Is more convenient. I see a lot of more people giving online, especially since we've been used to it for going on 9 months now. Yeah. So the new normal is something that we're going to have to adjust to, and a lot of people who have gone mobile since the pandemic has realized that it can be an increase in revenue or viewership or engagement, regardless of if we're in a pandemic or not. Yeah. So a lot of people have these apps, and now that they have them, they're seeing the increase. And because COVID ends, or we have a vaccination, or whatever the case may be, to end the situation, I'm a firm believer that these people are getting used to these things and seeing how convenient it is and seeing how easy it is. So I think it's going to continue. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree. I mean, especially when you talk about people who are on a time crunch, with fitness. Do I go to the gym, or can I just activate the app and do a quick 30-minute workout? Exactly. It's definitely a no-brainer. So yeah, I'm with you there.
Exactly.
Cool.
And for me on the church thing, for me personally, I love to pay my tithes and offerings.
Yeah.
Right. But before my church had an app, then if I get paid on Thursday and I'm not going to church till Sunday, those tithes might not be there when I get to church on Sunday.
Right. We might have to put y'all on pause.
With the app, I come in as soon as I get paid. I'm like, let me get rid of these funds before I,
before I hit that mile. Right.
It's just my personal opinion. I like apps.
Yeah, I tell you what, it is definitely an advantage for, the churches and communities like that are collecting, because, it's just like Cash App. If I send you your request for those tithes, that 10%, and you can't say, I missed it, or, it's just like, it's more convenient, and you don't have to actually be at the physical location and put your money in the envelope and, do all of that stuff. It's just easy peasy. So I definitely agree with you there. So let's get into the more educational part, because I know that you guys offer the services. So I tell you what, let's scratch that. Let's backtrack just for a second, because I want you to go ahead and give us like your core services, and then we're going to jump into a little bit more of the learning part of, educational technology and the importance of that, and some of the other things that you guys are doing as well.
Okay.
So if you want to just drop like maybe a couple of the core services and like your ideal client, because I know I'm imagining that you guys may have people that come to you and it's like, okay, that's not what we specialize in, but who would be the perfect client for you guys, and what are like maybe 2 to 3 of your core services?
No, definitely. So as I already mentioned, churches are a perfect client. We've already talked about the reasons why for that. Another perfect client for me would be anybody in the mobile service industry. So this could be anyone from maids to mobile car detailing companies to pressure washing companies. Anybody who sets appointments is a great candidate. One of our first clients was a mobile detailing company, and they didn't have a real scheduling system. They were taking appointments by the phone, writing them down. So we developed an app for them so their clients can come in, book on the app without having to have any interaction with the company. And then on the other side, on the employee side, they come in and they know exactly where they need to be at for the day. Yeah. So it's the internal help and the external help. We're also looking for people with the next big idea. So there's a lot of ideas being created right now. It's a lot of people stuck at home fearing the coronavirus, and they're just thinking of these beautiful ideas.
Yeah.
This time, this coronavirus, I swear I've heard some of the most greatest ideas I've ever heard.
Right. We got time today. Yeah. Right.
So yes, everybody has time today. So those ideas are flowing in, and we're trying to get them from idea to reality.
Wow. Yeah, that's what. Okay, so now we're getting into the fun part. So you guys have. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so first of all, Fresh Tech. Oh goodness. Fresh Tech is not only a service provider, but you guys also have an educational arm and resources that you offer. And one of the ones that I initially noticed was the Fresh Seeds presents the Baby Shark Tank, and then you guys also have the Fresh Tech Tips. So do you want to kind of give us a little background about the educational aspect of what you guys are doing?
Oh, definitely. And there's so much on the educational part that we don't even put out to the public. But that's something that we're very passionate about. They started with the organization called Jeans and Jewels Institute on the east side of Houston. We actually put on a coding program for their students. I think it was ages 8 to 16. So we kind of basically showed them how to build a website from HTML.
Wow.
And that went really, really well. And so after that, like, I love the feeling. That was my first time really working with kids. I've always said I could never be a teacher.
Yeah.
So I've never really steered down that route at all. But when I did, I understand why people want to be teachers, because these kids are amazing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got the spirit when I was teaching them. And that's kind of where the educational arm came from. So I know you mentioned Fresh Seeds, which is Baby Shark Tank, and that is an event that we're trying to put. We was hoping to put it on, and it was supposed to be in spring break this year, but everybody knows what happened with that.
Yeah, exactly. Cancel.
That didn't play out.
Yeah,
but we definitely have everything already in place, and as soon as people feel safe again, especially with their young ones, then we're going to implement Baby Shark Tank, which is going to be a 2-hour session, or 2 to 3 hour session where we bring in a group of kids from 8 to 18, I believe the age range is. Okay. And we basically let them work on an idea. We try to get them to create an idea, and we try to work that whole idea out. And we after the idea validation, and we go through all of that first initial process. What we do is we'll have an actual pitch competition, and we'll be judging the different teams. And they'll have the winner will have prizes. So it's pretty much like a Baby Shark Tank, kind of like the name is.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep me posted as to when you guys are able to do that, considering the time and condition of where things are at. But yeah, no, that's definitely going to be fantastic. And, you just mentioned something, Derrell, that kind of gave me like a little light bulb. I want to ask you a little bit about, you said idea validation. Idea validation, I think it was the phrase. Okay, tell us, how do you validate an idea when it comes to, I don't even want to say mobile app, but just in regards to what you're doing for these kids, like what would be a way to validate it, or what would be the basis of validating?
So that's a great question, and it's the same thing we do with Deck Launch. We go through the same process with the kids as we do with our adults with ideas. So that's basically what we call it professionally in the office is, does your idea suck?
Does your right?
So a lot of people come to us, and adults. I'm speaking about adults right now. A lot of people come to us with new ideas they have, and they come and say they have 0 competitors. There's nobody in the market doing it. It's wide open, and we do our research because Dr. Doug is amazing at research. And that's all he likes to do.
Yeah.
So he goes and researches and finds out they have 10 competitors within 10 miles of the city.
Oh,
so
wow.
is this idea good? Is the basis of idea validation? But that just doesn't include competition. It includes, is the market big enough for this? Do enough people want this idea? Is it a good idea? How much is it going to cost? Or are people okay with that cost? So those are the kind of information that we try to break down and see if it's a valid idea for us to pursue, because we don't take everybody's ideas on deck launch. Because if we can't help you, then we don't want to waste your time, and we'll tell you straight up. Even though it's a hard conversation sometimes, but it's better than us taking your money and not going it.
Exactly. Now you definitely got to respect that, and I know. So you definitely okay. So you have there's that part of what you guys are doing, especially, and I think it's awesome that you're helping kids as young as 8, because I think if you get them involved early, then, they'll likely to really be able to create and get into those career fields that will...
and get excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the most important part. Can you get them excited about it early? So that's great. And let's talk about fresh tech tips. I know there's the podcast, and I don't know how you guys have it broken down, but when I checked it out, I mean, it was, from what I saw, that was like some information that I wasn't even aware of. A lot of the new thing that is happening now, everybody trying to jump to mobile. But give us a little angle, give us a basis of what that particular show is about.
Yes, and Fresh Tech Tips is one of the things that keeps me going. I really love this show. It's a free podcast, and I feel like the gems that we're giving out should be probably worth some money.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
but we just want to help the people.
Throw my podcast in there too. There, yeah. we'll collect checks all day.
Right. So basically, it's a podcast. It's called Fresh Tech Tips, but it's not really about tech tips. It's about tips for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So one of the main things is always trying to help entrepreneurs out and trying to help entrepreneurs get started, because we're super passionate about that. And so, I mean, we have episodes from, why your mobile app sucks, why your idea sucks.
Yeah.
How to, we have all these topics. I think we're on episode like 39 right now.
Oh,
we record every Monday at 12 o'clock on Facebook Live. But yeah, it's just a great informational show to listen to if you're an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, because we need whatever resources that we can get. And some of that information just kind of keeps you from having to Google and ask Siri. It's like,
right.
If I could get it on, Facebook Live at Fresh Tech Tips, then that's what I'll do. And one of the things that I love is that it is, and I guess even small business owners or whoever could listen to it, but just the startup and the entrepreneurial guidance is crucial. Like, what are some of the main tips that you would recommend to somebody that is just, maybe there's an entrepreneur who is interested in getting an app developed? Like, is there a certain point that they should kind of research it, consider seriously, or like, what are the steps? Like, you just can't jump into entrepreneurship and say, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I just started this business, I need an app. Like, what?
Exactly.
So what are some of your tips for that?
Yeah, so my tip for that is actually do the research, because the worst thing that I see the majority of the time is people assuming, and assuming that they can't afford this app, assuming that I don't even want to look up how much mobile app is, and that's part of the reason why we started Fresh Tech, because we know people are thinking that.
Yeah.
So just do the research, and before you just be like, no, I can't afford that, I'm too young. Just do the research. And my greatest tip to people who are on the edge of entrepreneurship, who hasn't started yet, is, I'm not going to say stop planning, but start.
Wow,
and don't plan forever and plan forever, because I know a lot of people who plan, and now somebody else has their idea and they're killing the game, and now they're looking crazy because they didn't take the lead. So please, if you're thinking about it, take the lead. Find somebody you can find to mentor you, and just do it.
I love that. Yeah, because you can't play. I mean, I know what you mean. I know people who have planned for like the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and I guess the universe is like, well, I gave her this idea or him this idea. I'm just going to give it to, I'm going to give it to somebody exactly who's going to take action. So And I've been on that end too, where, I've planned and you look up and you say,
definitely.
So I hear you.
Definitely.
Cool, Derrell. All right. So before we get ready to wrap up, I want to kind of get a little bit more into the entrepreneurial angle. When you started out, I'm pretty sure that it was not 100% smooth sailing. I know that you probably had your fair share of, the bumpy road to really getting out by yourself and being independent as an entrepreneur. Like, what are some of the things that kind of helped you to kind of stay positive and to stay focused on making sure that Fresh Tech Solutionz was realized?
No, it was 100% all smooth for me and no bumps.
Yeah.
There's no entrepreneur ever. So
that's a perfect story.
It was definitely a lot of bumps. So the one of the biggest challenges I had is I had this whole dream of growing up and working for IBM like my dad or some similar company and working for 40 years and retiring. That was my dream growing up.
Yeah.
So I never had that entrepreneur guidance, that role model to look at. And so when I decided to take that leap, I felt like I was alone and I didn't know what I was doing. I know how to code all day long. I could code anything.
Yeah.
But as far as the business aspects, I didn't have an example. So what I did to get over that is I looked for people. I looked for mentors. One of my good friends at that point had a business, a valet trash business he had for about 6 years. And he was probably the youngest successful entrepreneur I knew. So I instantly latched on to him. And, he taught me a lot of things that I would have struggled with if I just didn't have him on my side. Another resource that I used that was very helpful was the U of H, I think a Small Business Development Center, SBDC.
Yeah.
They had a free, they connected me with a free mentor. So it was free. It basically gave me a crash course on business. And being an engineer major, I've never really taken business courses. So this was like crucial for me and my growth.
Yeah.
So cause there's so many free resources out there. And if you don't know something, it's perfectly okay. Just find somebody who does. I still don't know everything. I'm still I'm still hiring and utilizing other people for things that I'm not an expert in. So just be an expert in your field and all the business and admin stuff can be figured out.
Excellent. Love the transparency and definitely appreciate it. Derrell, drop us one or two words of encouragement for anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody that's specifically interested in becoming an engineer or app developer, but just a couple of words of encouragement for somebody that's on their journey.
Oh, yeah. So the two things. The first thing is keep God first. I couldn't even be talking this if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for random people praying for me.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And the second thing is take the leap. Just take the leap.
Take the leap. You gotta jump. You gotta jump, or do you want to be pushed? So I love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much. All right, guys, we have Derrell Noris. Derrell, before I close it out, let us know where we can find you online if anybody wants to connect with you and Fresh Tech Solutionz. Also, be sure to drop your social media handles as well.
Yeah, so it's you can search for Fresh Tech Solutionz. Solutions has a Z on the end instead of an S because we're cool. And
exactly.
Phone number you can call us on is 713-893-8125. We're on every social media as Fresh Tech Solutionz. And I'm Derrell Noris. You can find the podcast at Fresh Tech Tips Facebook group.
Perfect. I will be going to join that and definitely appreciate you stopping in this evening. Derrell, you take care and we look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks for having me. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.